Hi, I'm Steve Crimando at Behavioral Science Applications. I want to spend just a few moments talking about the importance of making accurate behavioral assumptions in continuity planning. And one specific aspect of that really is something we can share in a short video like this. And that's the idea of three basic types of behavioral reactions to disaster. We'll simply call them type 1, 2, and 3. A type 1 reaction to disaster, that's the most common. That's altruism, and we refer to that as a neighbor helps neighbor sort of impulse. So think about it this way. If there's a fire, a flood, a storm in your neighborhood, and one of your neighbor's homes is badly damaged, your primary impulse is probably to reach out and help, maybe bring them a meal or bring them supplies. That's neighbor helps neighbor. But when we start to introduce fear in the equation, it starts to change the whole game. A type 2 reaction we refer to as neighbor fears neighbor. So let's say the problem down the street at your neighbor's home today isn't fire, flood, or earthquake, but someone's at home with a serious and deadly disease, maybe something highly contagious. Chances are you're not going to reach out to your neighbor in that situation because now you have a realistic worry that you might get sick or bring that home to your family. The issue here is the primary and the most significant asset we have in a post-disaster environment is community cohesion, whether that community is in your neighborhood or in your workplace. And fear starts to erode that cohesion and starts to degrade morale and certainly compromises all aspects of recovery. But the worst case situation is a type 3 reaction. And type 3 reactions are neighbor competes with neighbor. And that's when fear becomes so acute that it actually triggers a competitive reaction to get the last gallon of water, the last gallon of gasoline, to get the last generator, depending on the nature of the disaster. So as we plan, one of my invitations very often is think about, in any given disaster scenario, what type of disaster is this? Is it a disaster that will create a type 1 reaction, type 2, or type 3? And adjust your plans accordingly. Because although we anticipate, we bank on the type 1 reaction disaster, once we introduce fear, it could be a game changer. And if it becomes acute and triggers that type 3 reaction, now it's every person for themselves. Employees, neighbors, the entire community is going to act very differently. So thank you for your attention, and that's my brief discussion of type 1, 2, and 3 disaster-related behavior.